Hi, and welcome to Where Are They Now? I am your host, Heather Lindstedt, class of 1985, and today I'm very excited to have Chris Piscone with me from the class of 2000. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you.
Thank you. Yes. Well, we have to talk and get to the whole things, but obviously you're having a great year. But when you started at Chelmsford, where did the wrestling part of your career start?
I started wrestling when I was in third grade.
Yeah.
So my father put me in two sports. He had me playing Pop Warner in town, and I was actually playing hockey for a while, but I didn't really like it. So my father's a football nut, and he said, wrestle because it'll help. It'll help for football. And, pretty much the rest is history.
Really?
Yep.
So you just started with all the youth programs?
I did,
in the town.
just Pop Warner and youth wrestling.
It's amazing what Chelmsford does, though, for youth, huh?
It's awesome. They have a bunch of programs for the kids in, every sport, highly successful across the board.
Yeah. I will say, most people know that I played hockey, but Chelmsford youth hockey had the first girls program in the state of Massachusetts,
Yeah, awesome.
So it's really
awesome.
incredible. So when you were growing up and playing sports, did you have a favorite, or was it just season to season?
Yeah, so if I was in football season, I would have told you it was football, and if I was in wrestling, I would have told you it was wrestling.
Yeah.
It's interesting. My friends, my best friends growing up, we played the same sports.
Yeah.
So we all pretty much said the same thing. Like when it was football season, you loved football, but when it was wrestling season, you loved wrestling.
Right. Was it exciting though when you knew how well you had been doing to get to the high school and then say, wow, I'm going to make it as a Lion?
Yeah, so I'll be honest, you're nervous because growing up, especially in the 80s and 90s, both programs, football and wrestling, and hockey too, they were winning everything.
Yeah. So
the pressure was on. So, my freshman year, I was JV for wrestling, so you're just kind of learning. You don't have much time. It's only a 3-month season.
Right.
So the next season it's go time, and you don't want to let the people that graduated down. You want to carry on the tradition of winning. You don't want to let your coaches down, your teammates, things like that. So, it's exciting, but at the same time, the pressure's on.
It is really funny when you go outside of Chelmsford, though, and you kind of bring it up, and people know about the tradition of athletics in the town. Yeah,
usually if I tell them, if I say football or wrestling, they're going to start rattling off players and coaches here that are either still involved in the program or, have moved on.
Yeah. So talk to me about that transition, though, from middle school to what were you doing in middle school in trying to get ready to when you got to Chelmsford?
So my father is, again, he's crazy. My father...
In a great way.
Yeah, in a good way, positive way. Both my parents taught at Tewksbury High School for 36 years.
Okay.
My father coached football and track. So when I was 8 years old, when I first started playing football, my father had me running and lifting weights. So the routine started. Yeah. Middle school, nothing changed. So when I was about 7th or 8th grade, my father started to be like, okay, we need to start working out for real. So we would go to the hills behind the high school, 10, running up and down, and he had me lifting weights, but it was you do a couple curls and some push-ups. All that changed when I got into 8th grade. He had me working out for real. So, when I kind of got to high school and we started getting involved with the programs and they give you your off-season workouts, it was just kind of transitioning, it wasn't a bad, it was normal for me. It was like brushing your teeth, to be honest with you. It was already a routine that I had done, so I was used to it. And luckily, the guys that I was hanging out with, the kids that I graduated with, they had all older brothers, so they were doing the same stuff.
Right.
So it was it was like work, but it was social. Yeah. You know what I mean? You go and hang out with your friends, you get a workout in, you work hard, and then you leave.
Now, who was the coach of the football?
So my freshman year was Coach Rich's first year. Coach Cato had left after in my 8th grade year.
Okay.
And Coach Rich, obviously, he had been the wrestling coach for 44 years.
Oh, yeah. Long time.
Yeah.
So you had Coach Rich for both?
2 seasons in a row, yeah.
Yeah. And what was that like? Because it's different sports.
He definitely... You get to know him more wrestling because there's not a lot of coaches and not a lot of kids.
Yep.
I wouldn't say his personality or anything changes due to the sport, but you get to see more of him when it's a room full of 30 guys, and it's just him and another coach. You definitely get to know more about him and the way he thinks, and you see more personality. Football was like, there's too many kids. He couldn't.
So who was your coordinator then?
The offensive coordinator at the time was Coach Rich was calling the plays.
Oh, he was,
and
okay.
Defensive coordinator was Coach Fletcher.
Okay. So. And did you play on both sides of the ball?
Yeah. I didn't play offense in football until my senior year. So I was Coach Fletcher.
So you set all the records and.
Yeah. So I literally never touched the football until my senior year offensively. I just played defense. I started my sophomore.
Well, hopefully
junior.
defensively you got some turnovers.
I had like a couple of picks my sophomore year.
Yeah.
My junior year, I didn't get any picks.
Yeah.
So I had played some special teams as well.
And how did you get to the offense then in your senior year?
So the kids ahead of me that were running backs were always older, and at the time Chelmsford was playing. They just played a lot of seniors.
Yeah.
So you had to wait your turn.
Yeah.
And I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was the difference in wrestling? Because you started off pretty well, or
So
same kind of growth?
So
or?
wrestling my freshman year, we had a really good team. We finished third in the state. We had a lot of seniors.
Yep.
And we graduated like 9 seniors. So there was spots opening up, and we were young. We were all sophomores. Like there was a couple of kids that had started varsity as freshmen, 2 in my grade. We had about 4 sophomores starting, 3 sophomores, and then the rest were, graduating. So kind of got lucky in that regard. So you get some experience. My sophomore year, first month of the season, you kind of take your lumps, but then you get used to it. And I'm going to be honest, so Coach Rich did a great job. Wrestling was he did a great job. He had a really good system. And you get a couple losses, and he pulls you aside. He coaches you exactly what you need to do, helps you fix your game, and it was great. I'll be honest. I was very, very fortunate athletically, and to get a good education at Chelmsford as well.
Yeah. Speaking about the education, so how did you get to Plymouth State via Chelmsford? Was it academics and the help that you had there? Was it a nice fit for you?
Yeah. So I think it was the best fit for me. Coming out of high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I probably should have PG'd a year, to be honest with you, to figure it out, maybe grow up a little bit. But, I knew it was a small school. I knew I'd be held accountable by going. I had to go to class.
Yep.
If I went to a large school, I think I would have got lost in the mix. I had some friends that were there, but I didn't know a lot of people at the school. I liked the area.
Yeah.
So I just, I gave it a shot. Everything worked out.
Did you play sports up there?
No, I didn't.
No.
I played sports. My freshman year, I went to Merrimack College. I played football for Coach Cato.
Oh, okay.
And I hurt my knee about the 6th or 7th week into the season, and I didn't know what to do. I was got really depressed.
Yeah.
So I left there and I went to Plymouth, and I was going to wrestle. The kid, sad story, the kid that was my weight, he beat me up pretty bad in high school. I knew I couldn't beat him, so I didn't really wrestle. I did some club stuff, some club wrestling, some club jiu-jitsu, and it was just working out a lot.
So is that where you got introduced to jiu-jitsu?
Yeah. In college, this kid, one of my friends had told me, hey, come down. We were working on the bottom of a dorm, and he had rolled some mats out, and he knew I had wrestled, and he was he wanted to go in the military, so he was kind of studying combatives, and he was working on some jiu-jitsu stuff. So I said, I'll go down there. I'll work out with you. And I was showing some wrestling. He showed me some jiu-jitsu. And
how different is it, the two sports, between wrestling and jiu-jitsu?
So that's a tough question, to be honest. There's a lot of similarities,
yeah,
and then there's a lot of differences. So I think at first, grappling, people can go, grappling.
Yep.
And it is, and there's a lot of stuff that's going to carry over from wrestling to jiu-jitsu, but at the same time, there's a lot of bad habits that you create in wrestling that are going to hurt you in jiu-jitsu. So you kind of got to relearn the wheel.
Yep.
You got to like learning. That's at the end of the day. You really got to fall in love with learning.
Yeah.
You
But you took it to the highest level you could.
I did, yeah.
I mean, was the training intense, and you just said, this is my passion? Or
so
how did that...
I'm going to be honest. I got out of college, and I was lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was looking for a job. I was frustrated at the time. And I had a friend, a kid, good friend, grew up with, wrestler, played football, Brian Viglione. He wrestled in college, and he still wanted to compete. Yep. So when he got out of college, he started doing jiu-jitsu, and he's like, come down and get a workout in, because he knew I liked
Was it in the area?
Yeah, it was in Nashua.
Yeah.
And I went down there, and I'll be honest, I got killed, like beat up, bloody lip. Like I was like, I'm coming back every day, coming back. And I just started showing up every day, you know, learning new stuff, and started competing, and just fell in love with it.
Now, I know you have your own gym here, but is it really popular in the state of Massachusetts? I mean, because we've always had good wrestling.
Yeah. So I think it's getting more popular. When I first started, I'll be honest, there was like a lot of Brazilians and not a lot of Americans.
Okay.
So you'd be like, man, one day I hope this is like everyone's going to be doing it.
Yeah.
Then the past, you know, I would say 6 years, it's exploded.
Okay.
And the TV helps, the UFC helps,
Yep.
things like that. But it's definitely getting more popular now.
So what was the best tournament you've ever been at, and where?
Oh, the best tournament? So that's kind of that's a tricky question. So sometimes the tournaments you get to go to nice places, right? So like San Diego, LA, those are awesome places to visit and compete at. And they're also, like I said, they host the largest tournaments of the year. But I've also got to go to Rio and compete there. I went to Rome, compete there. I've been to Portugal. They're all awesome.
Now, are you still competing?
No, I just coach now. I'm
Okay.
too busy. Between coaching wrestling, running a gym, being a dad, like it's too much for me.
Yeah.
I can't be selfish. I got to coach. I can't be taking reps.
That's because you love teaching.
I do like teaching, yeah.
It's really not coaching, right? I mean, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, I mean, it's really structured, right? Isn't it
It's
really
structured.
a lot more about,
I like to think of it as active problem solving.
there you go.
You know, like you're constantly getting involved. It's one problem to the next. You're constantly approaching problems, and how you look at the problems is really how you're going to solve it.
Right.
So if you're looking at things from a negative point of view, and in a sport like wrestling or jiu-jitsu, when it's real and it's coming at you, if you're negative about it, you're not going to last. So you need to create these positive brain patterns, and you know that's what, for me, that's why I'm like, all right, this is awesome. You know,
Right.
it's more. I think it's more about up top and how you process things than it is about the physical. I mean, yeah, it's physical. You got to learn everything, but at some point you're going to get to, okay, this is more about thinking than it is everyone's.
So it's like a chess match.
It can be, yeah. They say jiu-jitsu is like human chess. They refer to it like that a lot. It can be, you know, you're definitely thinking about, you know, steps and movements ahead of the opponent. Wrestling's the same way.
So you took over for a legend.
I did, yeah, Coach Rich. Yeah.
And I have to tell you, I took over for the softball program.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so you and I have something in common.
Yeah, right.
So how was that feeling, to take over for a coach that you have great respect for?
Yeah.
You wrestled under him.
Yeah.
And how was that transition?
So it was, I mean, it's awesome. I'm gonna be honest, I don't like to think of it so much because it gives me anxiety. Like, oh my God, I got to take over for this guy. He never had a losing season. You know what I mean? But it's fun. I coached with him. I started coaching wrestling at 16 with him, so I got to learn a lot of stuff.
Okay.
And then, obviously, I met Coach Rich in '91.
Yeah.
You know, so he showed me basically everything.
Right.
And then you get to coach with him, and he shows you even more. So I feel like I'm super fortunate, man.
But you
I'm
do
lucky.
in that wrestling room, you have a lot of eyes looking at you, huh? From the legends of wrestling?
Yeah, you're surrounded by history on the wall.
Correct.
You're surrounded by it. So there's pictures, there's newspaper cutouts, there's names on the board. You walk in there, if I thought about all that, I'd be super overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Right? So you're prepared. You got to go to work. You got to be prepared for the job.
Right.
You know?
How different are you as a coach than Coach Rich, do you think?
Oh,
Like what kind of differences, similarities do you think you have?
I never really saw Coach Rich lose control. He never would get upset and scream and yell, ever. Twice this year I got angry and yelled, and I was like, oh man, Coach Rich wouldn't. I literally told the other guys, like, Coach Rich wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
You know? But Coach Rich was definitely in control of his emotions all the time. And that's something, obviously, you try to learn from him. Like, wow, this guy never gets rattled. Never. You never see him sweat.
But although you got a little upset, you obviously have your own style.
Yeah.
And you were already awarded, right? Coach of the Year?
I got Coach of the Year this year. I got it actually on Saturday. So I was, you know, I'm extremely grateful for it, humbled by it.
Yeah.
You know.
What did you think when you got that though? Like,
I thought it was a joke. I wasn't even paying attention. Like they were announcing things, and I'm having a conversation with the assistant coaches, this kid Dave Dagnall, and he's like, they just called your name. I'm like, what? he's like, they called your name. I'm like, for what? And then one of the other coaches, like, you just got a Coach of the Year award. I'm like, you're kidding me. And then I went up there and they gave me the plaque. You know, I usually, like, the guy that wins the tournament, the team that wins the tournament, the head coach gets it. So I was like, St. John's Prep won it this year, so I just figured the head coach Manny Costa was going to get it.
Yeah.
And then when they called my name, I was like, oh my God.
So obviously, though, you've already gained the respect of your peers within the community.
Yeah, it's humbling because I'm voted by the coaches.
Correct.
Right, and you know, like I said, like Coach Rich leaves such a huge footprint that, you know, my expectations, like, dude, I don't ever know if I could ever be successful like he was. So, yeah, I don't think like that.
Right.
But to get it, you know, like I said, like I'm grateful, I'm humbled by it, you know, and to know that people are paying attention to what I'm doing and they're respecting it, it's a great compliment.
Right. What were your goals going into the season then?
Yeah, wow. So my goal, so I wanted to have 30 kids in the program. That was my first goal. I got 31 kids in the program. My second goal was, okay, let's have a winning season, right?
Yep.
No hiccups, no drama during the season. You know how it goes.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, that was my second goal. We hit both of them.
Yeah.
You know, some things happen. It's a roller coaster ride. High school athletes, they're kids.
They're kids.
They're nuts. Yeah. So, you know, it's a roller coaster.
Because you were never like that as a kid. I know I wasn't. I know. I didn't cause any gray hair for any of my coaches either.
So it's funny, like another thing, like this year your kids they're kids, and the masks are crazy, and you're trying to wrestle with masks, and people are getting upset about masks that they're falling down, and you know, like sometimes people say like, hey, you got to wear the mask, so you got to listen. And then I just walk away thinking like, man, this is nothing compared to some of the things that we put Coach Rich through. Like, I can't believe he was okay with half of this stuff, you know. But it is what it is. Now I'm smarter now than I was 20 years ago.
No, you have your own business, right?
Yeah.
What's the name of your?
The name of the gym's Team Flow Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Okay. It's in Tingsboro.
And what's the difference between? You can have some little kids in that too.
I teach kids. Yeah. The youngest kids, I take 6-year-olds.
Yeah.
And then my oldest student, he's 57.
Yeah.
You know.
And so, like, on a day like that, where, I mean, it's easier, you know what I mean? You go to the high school, you're coaching, you know what you're coaching. You're coaching high school kids, as I said. But, like, how do you turn it on? I'm sure you're not yelling at the 6-year-old and the 57-year-old. Like, how is that, like, during the course of a day, as far as being a teacher/coach?
So it's tough. I'm going to be honest. So some days, you leave the high school, the practice wasn't the best. We're preparing for meets. You're worried about the other team's lineup. And then you start going the other thing, and you're stuck in this mode. You got to clear your head.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I got to calm down. These are kids. Like, you know, they're just here to have fun, learn a couple things, get a little workout in, and go home.
Right.
So sometimes it's hard.
Yeah.
I literally like to ride up there. I got to clear my head and be like, okay, calm down. This is like changing gears now.
Well, because like a teacher, I mean, teachers that teach first grade do not want to teach seniors in high school.
No, it's totally different. I call it range. You got to have range in coaching.
Yeah.
You got to be able to teach the kid. You got to be able to teach the adult. I think what helps is you can understand how everyone thinks, and then you present the information to them in a way that they can retain it.
Right.
You know?
Right. Do you think any of the people that are in your gym right now will ever achieve what you did as far as national?
I hope they all do. I hope everyone does. I hope they do better, to be honest with you. You know, that's the best compliment I could get, I think.
And when you're doing that, is that like every day? Would they have to be working out?
I train every day.
You do?
Yeah, I train every single day, yeah.
In jiu-jitsu?
Jiu-jitsu, and I wrestle with the kids. I try to wrestle 3 times a week with them.
Right.
You know.
And how good is our team?
We're good, man. So I was mentioning him earlier, the freshman Thomas Brown. Right now, he is ranked 5th in New England. He just won states. Yeah. He's the 2nd freshman ever in the history of Chelmsford High to win a state title. And who
was the first?
Evan Kinney. Okay. He just graduated last year. Evan was a 3-time state champ. He didn't get an opportunity to be a 4-time state champ because of COVID. Yeah. So Thomas, this weekend, he has the opportunity to be the first freshman all-state champ in the history of Chelmsford High. And, you know, again, going back to the history on the board, and you see these names, like, that's a huge honor. You know, it's a big, to me, it's a big deal.
Yeah. Know? And you're the coach.
Yeah.
Can we blame you if it doesn't work?
Yeah, you can. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when you were thinking about starting the gym,
Yep.
was there anything that like you reflected back from your
Everything.
high school
Yeah.
experience, your college kind of experience of everything, and saying, you know what, I can take on this entrepreneurship basically of doing that? I mean, what was that like?
I'm super grateful. I say this to everyone. I had really good coaches coming out of Chelmsford High.
Yep.
Like, honestly. Between Coach Fletcher, Coach Souza, and Coach Rich, I feel like these guys prepared me, and this is just through athletics, not even the education side of it.
Right.
They prepared me. They showed me this is how you coach people, you know, in a way that you get the most out of them.
Right.
So I took those experiences. I can do this.
Right.
You know, all I have to do is just is go to work, be passionate about it, be honest with them, and have fun. And I started the gym in 2013.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's 2021 now, and things are way better.
And you made it through COVID.
I made it through COVID.
That must have been that must have been
COVID was, I'm going to be honest.
right? I mean, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, I mean, had to have been disastrous a little bit.
Yeah, like there was times in my head where I'm like, that. You know, the one weakness in these sports is COVID. Like, we can't get close to each other. I don't know what to do. And then other days, I'd just be like, we're going to be fine. I don't care. We're going to be fine. You get a workout in, you feel better.
Right. Well,
you know.
yeah.
It's just anxiety. You get the workout in, the anxiety's gone. Yeah.
So if you were to say, like, from your career in sports or coaching, what would be one of your favorite moments? Like, is it being more of a coach, or was it as an athlete? Have you? And even if, you know, when you were in Rio or whatever, like what?
Oh, man. You know, I'm going to be honest, I get more nervous, I think, now for the guys that I'm coaching than I do when I played, right? Like, when you're playing, you're like, this is nothing, I can do this. But now I'm like, okay, it's me, it's on me.
Right.
So what I showed the person or how I helped them, is it going to fail, is it not? So, you know, I think it's more rewarding as a coach to see the kids do more and earn more than it was as an athlete, I think.
Yeah.
You know? I love coaching. I love it. You know?
Well, I think that's the thing. But the funny part is when you say it, you're also teaching lifelong experiences for these.
I try to, you know, like sometimes in the wrestling room, I tell these kids, like, this is a lot like life. And there's life after Chelmsford High. You're going to have a job.
Is there?
Yeah.
Life after?
There is, believe it or not. You know, so these kids look at me because they don't know yet, you know.
Right.
But just like, you know, the coaches that I had would say the same things, and you think, but if you hear it enough for 4 years, the next thing you know, you believe in it. Yeah. And then when it becomes presented in your life, you're, oh my God, I'm prepared for this from when I was 15. Right. You know, you'd be 25, 30, 35. Who knows, you know, what happens.
So I would have to circle back and say that one of the reasons you're coaching at Chelmsford High is because you so appreciated what you got that you want to give back.
Yeah, I love Chelmsford, I'll be honest. I love the community. I love the sports there.
Right.
You know,
and
I love the people.
And it's really a thank you for what you're doing. You're not really coaching, teaching, / I think you're trying to say that you're just so grateful and thankful for what you got.
I'm extremely grateful for, you know, the people that have helped me and coached me that, so, you know, and I can go back and, hey, where'd you learn that? Well, I learned it from you. You know? I think that's the best part. And I'm sure, like, I had a coach, really great coach, great guy, Scotty Moreau.
Oh, yeah.
So I get to see him now because his kid's wrestling at Lowell Catholic.
Right.
So I see him every weekend, and I'm like, you know, I had a great coach one time tell me this, and it's 90% of it's what he told me. You know, when I was 16 years old, 17 years old, it's still true.
Oh, he coached you in wrestling?
He coached me my junior and senior year, yeah.
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 Okay. He was the athletic director there.
He was he hired me in 2016, yeah.
He hired me to coach softball, which I was like, oh, all right. So, but anyways, I want to wish you the best. So what do we have coming up? We have
So this weekend is all states. All states. So it's all the divisions in Massachusetts.
Yep.
And then the following weekend, the top 6 placers from all states go to New England. That's down in Rhode Island.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I so much appreciate you taking time from your
thank you.
hectic life.
Thank you.
I can just hear it in your voice and in the passion that what you have for our student athletes at Chelmsford, that you're going to take it to an even different level.
I hope so.
I do. I think you will. So,
so.
Thank you so much. It was
Thank
a
you.
pleasure to meet you. So
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you to everybody for watching and for you being here. Best wishes.
Thank you.
Thank you.